All right, welcome back to my Darling Bride podcast, powered by Refuge and Fortress Network. My name is Emmanuel O.
And I'm Lonnie O.
On this podcast, we dig, discover, and deploy biblical gems for the building or rebuilding of kingdom homes and relationships.
Yes, we are on a mission to equip couples on how to build on a rock solid foundation, cultivate a culture of honor and respect,
Yes.
invest intentionally and consistently in your marriage or your relationship, make sure you're defending your union, and lastly, empower one another towards purpose fulfillment.
In short, we are equipping couples to bride. B-R-I-D-E.
Yes.
This
build.
is where love
Yes.
meets legacy. This is where love meets legacy. And we have a good one for you today. Let's get it. Languages and communication. We've talked about what is the one that we spoke about last week? Expectations and realities in marriage.
Expectations and realities.
Expectations and realities in marriage. And today we're talking about dealing with outside opinions. Because everybody got an opinion, right? We're talking about opinions from friends, opinions from family, opinions from everybody else, right? Third party opinions, right? And then how do you set boundaries, right, in your home and in your relationship? And again, I love to always bring back, remind us to kind of reiterate the mission behind this podcast, right? Because again, this podcast is a podcast expression of our marriage ministry. And the mission there is, like you said earlier, equip couples on how to build their relationship on a rock solid foundation, invest, cultivate a culture of honor and respect, which is the R in the bride, right? Investing intentionally and consistently into your home, into your marriage, into your relationship, defend your union, and of course, empower one another towards purpose fulfillment. The conversation today is under that defending of the union. Right?
That's where that comes
Not
in.
only do you need to defend your union from a spiritual standpoint, because we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, we teach on that on Tuesdays at Truth Be Told. So you don't want to miss that as well. But so not only do you want to defend your union from a spiritual standpoint, right? You also want to defend your union against things like outside opinions. Right? So when it talks about how do we deal with outside opinions, man,
it's a big one, because a lot of times you look into statistics, well, not statistics, but you look into people's stories and experiences and their situation with their marriage, their relationship. Most of the time, third-party interference is the problem.
Most of the time,
whether it's from family, whether it's from friends, it's just what other people said is what ended up affecting that relationship. So it's a big thing to really understand when it comes to your marriage and relationship. How do we deal with outside opinions? You know, and a quick, I guess, you know, I need to bring my disclaimers back.
Bring it back.
Quick disclaimer in the sense where it's not like, because some people might think about it and say, well, you kind of need some kind of third-party opinion when you're thinking about therapy or you're thinking about counseling. But that's a different situation, because you're going to, number one, professional people that are there to help guide you on a certain situation that has to do with your marriage. Number two, you're going together for the most part when it comes to your marriage. You know, so in those situations, it's a little different. When we're talking about dealing with outside opinions, we're talking about unsolicited opinions that come in. Even the ones that are solicited, that are asked for, just opinions that could intentionally at some point affect the relationship of the marriage.
And one thing we also got to clear out there too is this: you talked about going to therapy, you talked about going to counseling and things like that. That's not interference, right? We're talking about dealing with outside opinions that interferes with whatever you've got going on. Right? Because again, if you go to counseling, if you go to therapy, that is an intentional thing that you did as part of your program. Right? It's not interfering in your life or your program. That's your life.
Well, the only
but when you talk about outside opinions, it interferes, right? it's an interference because it seeks to sometimes move you out of course.
Yeah.
It seeks to sometimes derail you create a wedge, or just, even if it's not necessarily a wedge, it's just out of program. It's not what we designed. It's not part of the program. This thing is not.
It shouldn't be there.
Right. It's not expected. It's not. And if it was expected, it's not. It's interfering. It's in the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about. Because again, you can go to your friends and your family. You can go to a professional person to get opinions, to get feedback, to get things like that.
Yeah.
That's not an interference. It's a welcomed
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's the difference. It's something you invite. Well, it's something you went to seek.
Yeah.
Exactly. So essentially, now I guess the question for us, right? Because we always bring it back home.
Yeah.
In terms of how do we handle things like this in our marriage and in our home? Because every marriage faces it, right? So for us, how do we handle family opinions and friends, family and friend opinions, or third-party opinions, or interference in our home or in our marriage?
Well, I will put it this way. For us, starting off, right, we have a very small friend circle. Let's just start there, right?
Yeah.
And so that means there's not a lot of places you can hide. If there was something going on, the few friends that you have will see and they will say, hey, what's going on? You follow what I'm saying? But to the glory of God, there's not much negative going on for anyone to have to interfere or intervene and say, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about it and things like that, right? Yeah. But if they did have something to say, the friend circle is small enough, respected enough to value their opinion. So is the family. Whatever opinion they may have is valued, and for the most part, if and when necessary, put into consideration. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be adopted. It doesn't mean it's going to be implemented.
Yeah.
But it will be put into consideration just out of respect for the people that they are, friends and family.
Right.
Now, here's the reason why I went that route in answering that question. Because these are people they know us and they understand that if you're coming to me, come correct.
Correct.
They know us. They understand that if you're coming to us with an opinion or whatever
about our marriage,
you must have thought about it very well.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, whatever you're coming to me has to build. It doesn't break.
Yes.
If you don't know that about me and you want to tell me anything, go sit down. Your opinion is not welcome. It has to be positive. It has to be positive. It has to be building. It can never be about breaking.
Yes.
Because then you don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. Yeah. You follow what I'm saying? So, and they know that about us. You know, on both sides. Your family, my family, your friends, my friends. You follow what I'm saying? And so how we deal with their opinion is, first, have you vetted this thing you're about to say? Is it going to build or break? Are you just speaking off the cuff? Or you've actually thought about this thing before you came to me and sat me down and say, hey, I want to share this opinion with you. I just thinking A, B, C, and D, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that we have to ensure first and foremost when it comes to us, right? But the reality of things is there's not really much opinion to have. No. I'm not even trying to be funny.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just laughing because it's so true. Like,
I'm not.
It's the way you're saying.
I'm not really trying to be funny. There's not much opinion to be had.
There's really not.
Because by the grace of God, we have been good. And whenever there's a problem, we are quick to resolve those problems before they become an issue.
Absolutely.
That needs interference.
Exactly.
That needs outside opinions.
Yeah.
if you come to Truth Be Told on Tuesdays, one thing I teach on that is learn to forgive, but not just forgive quickly.
Yeah.
Why? And I talk about it also. I teach on this. Find a happy place if you don't have a happy place. What is your family's, your union's happy place? What is y'all's happy place? What does that look like for you? It's a place that you always want to go to, and you always want to stay in. That happy place.
Yeah.
And so whenever something happens, figure out a way to solve that issue quick so you can get back to your happy place. We practice that a lot in our home and in our relationship. It doesn't mean we don't offend each other. It doesn't mean we don't say things we don't mean. It doesn't mean we don't do things we don't mean. It doesn't mean we don't fight, argue, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's just that, like normal people do, right? It's just that we are also aware enough, alert enough, awake enough to understand that, okay, this thing is lingering too long.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back home to our happy place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would be my response on how we handle opinions from friends and family.
Yeah.
They're valued when they are well thought out and they have been vetted properly. And they are the heart of that opinion is to build, not to break.
Not to break.
You don't come to me talk to me about your wife is this, your wife is that.
Yeah.
She's not this, she's a bad person. That's not an opinion I'm listening to. You don't come to my wife and tell her a husband is A, B, C, and D. A husband to what end?
Yeah.
Are you saying all of that so that she can leave her husband? Are you saying all of that so that I can leave my wife?
To what end?
To what end is what you're saying? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna just stop right there.
Feels like there's more.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot more that wants to come out. You know, for me, I think anybody that has known me for quite some time now would know the kind of person I am, and same as you, whereas we're not one to, for one, put our business out there. We are very intentional about this. So therefore, in every situation, we make sure that this is like this.
Yeah.
And in this situation being like this, we stand firm and united. So if you're coming to me and you're giving me an opinion or what you think, because the reason why I said an opinion, because you never find me bring our situation to you. So you can't give me an opinion on something you don't know about. You understand what I'm saying? But maybe something about my husband you want to tell me that you noticed or you observed or you felt like you wanted to tell me about, and you bring it to me. It's gonna be taken in certain way, in the sense where, like you said, we value people, our friends and families' opinions and thoughts and what they think, but it's never to the point where I take what you told me and let it affect this. You might observe something and you feel the need to tell me. I could have observed the same thing and not have an issue with it. For as long as I don't have an issue with it, okay, I hear you. That's the end of the conversation. There's nothing else more to it. I'm not going to go home and then create a fight with my husband because this person said this and this happened. Or even if I had an issue with it, I won't, because of what that person told me, then make it an issue. I could have brought that up a long time ago with my husband. The bottom line is, whatever opinions, whatever interference anybody has, it stops wherever they brought it to. It never comes home with me. So it's never to a point where it's, because the mentality that we have is this against anything else? Is this us and God against anything else?
This is again going back to what we're saying, defending the union.
Yes.
Because other than spiritual issues and spiritual attacks and things like that wants to penetrate, things like outside opinions also seeks to break the union.
Yes.
And so you have a responsibility to defend the union.
Yes.
It has to be that. Look at the Bible for a second. Adam and Eve. Satan wanted to break the union. Destroy the union. He went to Eve, right? And instead of her being what you would call the first line of defense.
Yes.
She became the first line of weakness.
Yes.
The first wall to break down.
Yes.
To get to the next person.
Yes. And that's an important wall.
You know what I mean?
Because that wall, it manipulates the next wall.
You know?
So it's important.
So well, yes and no. Because Adam could have been like, okay, you were a weaker vessel. You allow that to happen.
Yes.
I'm going to be strong, and I'm not going to allow that.
Well, let me use this word. It could influence the second line of defense.
Could, exactly. It could influence the second line of defense. But what I'm saying is, as far as defending the union is concerned, and again, it could be Adam, not Eve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody, whoever the first person is, you are the first line of defense.
Yeah.
And it is your responsibility to defend the union.
Yes.
Don't even let it go as far as the second or the third line of defense.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You have a responsibility to say, hey, it ends here. This here, if I allow it to come in, it will cause more damage than anything. So I'm going to let it end here.
Yeah.
And please, I've had conversations with people where they come to me and talk to me about my wife. And it ends right then and there.
Yep.
And I tell them, listen, let it end here. I don't want you to bring it up ever to me again. I definitely don't want you to bring it up to my wife.
Yep.
It ends here. Now we're good. We don't have a problem. We're not fighting. I mean, look.
Well, let's just make it clear.
You know what I'm saying? We're good. But let's just be very clear on that. Yeah. It ends here. Yeah. Because here's the thing, like you were saying, if you allow it to linger, if you allow it to come in, it comes first into your heart.
Yeah.
Right? And then into your mind. You start to think about it. You start to ponder on it. You start to wonder. You start to paint scenarios in your head.
Exactly. It's like a
and
seed.
Then all of a sudden, you're acting a certain way to your spouse. Not because you had a problem before, but because what somebody said.
Else pointed it out. Yeah.
Remember, you are the first line of defense.
Yeah. And another thing this matter of outside opinions is so big for me because I always want to make sure this is protected. It's very important. One of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan. I'm huge on protecting this, right? And putting a line there, right? Putting that shield, that defense there is because a lot of times you find people projecting.
Yep.
It's never because of anything that's going on with you guys. It's never because of anything that might be happening. Most of the time is what's going on in their lives that they're projecting onto you.
Yeah.
All men are scum. That's not true.
Yeah.
All men are not scum.
Yeah.
Some men might be. Maybe the men, the different men you're dealing with might be. But all men are not scum. That projection is based on one experience, or maybe two, but it's based on your experience, not mine. Yeah. I have not been in a situation for me to sit there and be like, all men has come to the glory of God. So that's your experience. And justifiably, you could say that, but don't project it onto everybody else.
Yeah.
That happens a lot when it comes to marriages. And you have to be careful because when people see that for whatever reason, your marriage is thriving more than theirs, it then becomes a thing of, well, if theirs is not doing good, everybody else's must not be doing good too. So people project, and you always have to make sure you're protecting yours because it's very easy to break. It's very easy to destroy. Once a seed is planted and you let it grow, you let it fester. What do you call it? It's like a chain of reaction. It starts to create something that wasn't even there in the first place. Yeah. So you have to be very careful.
You got to be very careful. You got to be very intentional.
And because there's more things I want to say, but I kind of want to jump to the next question because I feel like it opens up more answers to that. But the question is, how do you protect your marriage from outside interference, pressure, and gossip? How do we protect our marriage, right? How do we handle it? Kind of works hand in hand in how we protect it for us, that is. So how do we protect it? What do we do? What are the things that we do that protects it from gossip, from outside opinions, from outside interference, from pressure? How do we protect it?
First, I would say we protect it by using the word. We know what the Bible says about this situation, And so anything outside of that, we don't believe.
Yep.
We don't accept. We don't take. There are people who has told us, look, the way y'all met and how you guys started dating and getting married and then things like I mean, if you've been following us for some time, you know how we met. We met at a conference. I met her day 1, day 2, or 3. I said, you're going to be my wife. Go think about it. I want to start dating you, blah, blah, blah. The very next day, we started dating. And then the conference was over. I went to DC. You went to New York. But we started dating long distance. And here we are today.
Yeah.
And there are people where when we tell them that story, they say, well, you must be one of the lucky ones. Because that's not how it's done. That's not how marriage should be done. That's not how people meet. And again, right? Your opinion is your opinion, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
What does the word of God say about the situation? That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
So that becomes our truth, not your truth. Your truth is not necessarily my truth.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, I would say that we protect our peace by, how do I put this in a nice way? By not interfering in other people's business.
Yeah. Yes.
We mind our business.
Yes.
And the reason why we do that is because we don't want you to feel like you have a job now
for you
to start minding our business for us.
No.
Because we mind our business.
Yeah.
I will see something. I may see something, but I would never say a word about it until and unless you bring it up to me.
And even then, we're cautious.
And even then, I'm very cautious because do you want to hear the truth or do you just want me to tell you what you want to hear that's going to make you feel better? Because I can do both. You just tell me which one you want.
Yeah.
It's multiple versions of this thing and I can give you whatever you want. But I'm not going to be like, you're not doing husband rights. You're not doing wife rights. You're not being a good parent. You're not doing parenting right. Yeah. You're not doing motherhood right. You're not doing fatherhood right. I'm not, unless you bring it to me, I'm minding my business.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? The reason why we do that is because we don't want to open a gate or a door for you to feel like, because we had an opinion about your situation, now you feel like you got to have an opinion about our situation. And many a times, you don't really have an opinion.
Yeah.
You just want to say something because you can't be the only one talking about my situation. Exactly. It ain't like you perfect neither. What about this? What about that? Right? And again, nobody ever claimed perfection. Exactly. It's just what works for you may not necessarily work for me. Exactly. And what works for us may not necessarily work for you. What you may have a problem with, maybe we don't have a problem with. And this is why you got to be careful with opinions. Yeah. Because again, and this is why I'm saying this is why we're careful to interfere in people's situation. Because again, I may have a problem with that. I may feel like I should say something, but guess what? Maybe it works for you. Yeah. Who am I to interfere and say, oh, dude is bad for you now because dude does A, B, C, and D, and then you look at me and say, well, who asked you? who asked you?
Who put your mouth in this?
Did I tell you I had a problem with it?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I'm
sorry.
I think for me, the biggest part of it, for me personally, when it comes to protecting our marriage is I don't take our business to anyone. That's a big one for me. Because when you're in your dating phase, you're in a relationship, I did that. And I did that with people that I trusted. And it's not to say anything bad happened. It was just, I was in a state where I was trying to figure this out. And every little thing that upset me, I would voice out an opinion about it. But I didn't necessarily need anybody to try to fix it. I just needed to let it out. You know what I'm saying? But then in voicing it out, it painted a picture of someone he wasn't to whoever it was I was talking to. And it became some kind of like friction. So then when I was ready to kind of just I'm okay now. I don't let it out. Now I'm all right. And now it's like the whole world is upset. You know, so I kind of, and that was just in the, like, dating phase and relationship. And I kind of learned from that in the sense where it's like, listen, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And I knew at a very early stage that this was forever. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They didn't understand that because we're dating. You know, why would you think like that? But I knew the mistake was I didn't voice that opinion out that I knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I might be upset. I might be venting. I might be letting it out. But I'm not trying to destroy this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix it, actually. That's what I'm trying to do. So in that, in kind of creating that atmosphere in the beginning stages of our relationship, it didn't really help with trying to navigate everything. You understand what I'm saying? And I felt like, you know what? I learned from it because I was like, you know what? To be honest, it's not fair to my people that I go to and voice this opinion to. It's not fair to my partner that I'm voicing the opinion about or the situation about, because at the end of the day, it's just something that it's not even a big thing either. It's just something that's happened between us that we can resolve and figure out without third party interference. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not a situation where it's like all hell broke loose and I don't know what to do. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I learned from that, and it then became, when I say I took it to heart, like it became a thing where it's like, listen, there's nothing that goes on between us that we can't figure out. For me, it's like you never see me, even when we're upset at each other, like I don't want it to show because it's our business. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've there's many times we've not been cool with each other. We've been upset at each other, and we in public, but you wouldn't know because it's a us thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this is who I still go back home to. This is who I still got to figure it out with. I don't want to put you in a position to voice an opinion on something you really don't know anything about. You understand what I'm saying? So the way I protect it is I make our business to the glory of God. There's never been a situation where it's felt like it needed outside interference. You know, there's some situations like that you gotta bring somebody in before it gets out of control. To the glory of God, we've never had that. So I just learned from that. I'm like, you know what? Our business is our business.
And I just want to say this, right? Again, we're relationship coaches. We're in the relationship business. We're in the relationship ministry. We study on relationship stuff. We study the Bible. We research, we study, we do all kinds of stuff. I'm working on certain licenses and like, you follow what I'm saying? So what am I saying? Part of the reason why we don't have many of these issues is because we prepare for them ahead of time.
Right.
We are the ones you would come to talk to. Wouldn't it be funny if we were the one who had issues and needed to talk to somebody? And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because everybody does. Every pastor needs a pastor.
Right.
Every leader needs a leader, right? So even things get out of hand sometimes, we have people we can go to
if we need to.
Needed,
exactly.
Right? But for the most part, many issues in marriages are solvable.
Yeah.
Easily solvable for the most part, if you have two people who are willing to solve them, to work through them. If you have two people who understand each other and understand the situation. For the most part, there is never, there are unique situations, there are issues that you just, there are
issues where you do need to voice out.
You follow what I'm saying? But for the most part, when all is well and God is involved, there's not really much going on that you need divine intervention.
Absolutely.
But again, everybody's situation is not the same. It's very different. It's very unique to your situation. So what does that mean for you? That means, yes, getting outside opinions may be good for you, but you got to know who you're talking to.
Who you're going to, exactly.
The problem you were making, the mistake you were making, was you were going to the wrong people to talk to about whatever it is you were telling them. they didn't have enough maturity, mental capacity to give you valuable opinions that was helpful
without being biased,
without being final in their advice. Oh, just leave him. Oh, just leave her. Oh, just walk away. No. It took me years to build this. I'm not looking for you to tell me to just leave all that and walk away. Because what? I do that and I become just like you. And many times, that's what people want.
Yeah.
They want you to be like
in the
them.
same position as them. Yeah.
And so many times you see people who are miserable, they give miserable advice. Because again, they want you to be like them. And then they say, well, I done told you, all men has come. So look, man, we are having fun over here. Yes, we're single, but life is good. Why don't you come and join us on this side of town?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. No, not me mess up.
Not be you, not me.
Not me.
Not me. Don't worry.
It's me. It's my fault. Because again, I went to the wrong person. Right. So you gotta be careful. You gotta watch out for people. You gotta look at people who are about building up, not breaking down.
Yes.
And you've got to look at people who what they're saying matches the life that they're living. Right? It matches the life that they're living. If their marriage is not the greatest, they're most likely not going to give you the greatest marital advice.
Exactly.
You follow what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Most likely. If they're shabby wives and shabby husbands, advice from them may be shabby.
Yeah. Quacks like a dog.
Must be a duck. So you just got to be careful who it is that you're going to, and sometimes, let me just put it this way, and I think we talked about this before. Sometimes you got to get out the friends and family circle and go to a professional.
Yeah.
Not because they're necessarily professional, but because they're somebody outside of your regular circle, your normal circle. And they can give you an unbiased opinion. And the reason why I would recommend a professional is because how do we look talking to a random guy on the street about what? You don't know what their life, right? You don't know what information they're going to give you. They don't know you like that. But at least a professional, it feels like it's their job. It's their responsibility to assess the situation. And based on what you've said, they can give you good advice. They can give you good counsel. They can give you good information that you can actually implement in your life. Again, they don't know you from Adam. They don't know your spouse. They just know based on this situation and how you've described everything that you've said, here is what I can prescribe to you and what I can recommend for you to do right now to begin to make your life and situation work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's even on the aspect of when you're seeking help, right? Or you're seeking solution, or there's something that you need advice on. There's some times where you don't seek nothing and people just show up and start to tell you things that you never asked them about. That
speaks about boundaries.
That's boundaries, right? Exactly.
So let's talk about that.
Right. Setting boundaries. Like I said, number one, when it comes to me and mine, people know where I stand, right? So it's like, let me say it like this. I don't drag my husband on the floor.
There we go.
I don't carry him anyhow.
We don't drag each other.
No, we don't treat each other like trash. We treat each other with respect and with honor when we're alone and when we're in public. What you see outside is what you get inside too. So it's not like, oh, we're in public, so you get the best person and you come into our home and you just see us talking to each other anyhow. No. What you see outside is what you get inside too. So you know how I carry mine. They always say this in Yoruba. Mama Kenny, like, is fragile. Like, is important to me. I don't play with it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how we do ourselves, and that's how we do our marriage.
And how you treat whatever is yours is how everybody else is going to treat it
so
for you.
So when people want to come in and try to say something, they're careful because they know, wait a minute, These ones don't play about each other. We're not just gonna bring nonsense to you when we know how they are. Nobody could call me from nowhere and tell me, oh, your husband is in this place, this place. I probably already know exactly where he is, what he's doing, because we talk about every single thing. You know, even if I don't know where he is, like some other time something happened. I think you were telling me about some situation about some guy. They called him and they were like, oh, and they called the wife and they were like, oh, your husband is in this place talking to this girl. Mind you, that there was nothing to the story, but they've painted a whole picture to the wife wherever she is. You can't do that with me because number one, I know who my husband is. I know exactly who my husband is. I know who my husband is. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, unless God wants to shock me, let me translate it. So you can come here and say he's with some girl. Okay, cool. When he gets something, he'll tell me who he saw at where he was. There's nothing for you to tell me that is new or brand new to me. I know who I'm married. So I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. So keep your negativity somewhere else. So you gotta number one, carry yourself with respect. How you treat each other is how people will treat yours. How you treat your marriage is how other people will treat your marriage. You drag each other on the ground anyhow, you treat each other like trash, they will do the same to your spouse.
Let me tell you another way you set boundaries too. How you treat each other is how you treat it, is how everybody else will treat it, right? I mean, you got to be careful how you carry your stuff, because people are watching and they're using that to gauge.
They're looking for every opportunity.
You know what I'm saying? They're looking for every opportunity.
They don't have work to
mess to mess things up. But now, when it comes to setting boundaries in your home, in your marriage, and in your relationship, is one way that you set boundaries is by giving yourself boundaries as well. There's something we say in Yoruba, ma koja even we don't koja yewa. Does that make sense? We don't overstep. We don't overstep.
Don't do too much.
That's what that really, that's the translation. We don't overstep. And that means we also have boundaries that we've set for ourselves.
Yeah.
And when somebody notices that, okay, these people don't overstep with me, they won't overstep with you as well. It just kind of goes both ways.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that we set boundaries, by not overstepping where we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
That way, we don't give you the chance or the opportunity to overstep.
Yeah.
Now, let's assume you do overstep. You know, maybe that's just the kind of person you are. You're just an overstepper. Okay, no problem. We will pull you to the side and we will set you straight.
We'll put you back in your place. Simple.
In the nicest way possible. In the most godly way possible.
Yeah.
We will tell you, this is not allowed. This is not acceptable. And we're not doing that anymore. There are people who have, you know, on my side of the family, who felt like they had an opinion about my wife, right? And I make it very clear. A problem with my wife is a problem with me.
Yep.
So you don't say you love me, but you hate my wife. You don't say, oh, when it comes to you, man, me and you, we cool, man, but your wife, man, is just, oh, when it comes to you, me, but your husband, man.
Yep.
We come as a package.
Yep.
Either you like us or you hate us.
Yep.
It's not that I'm cool with one of y'all, but this other, you know, that doesn't work like that.
You see the difference.
You know, it doesn't work like
with
that.
One of us,
and the moment you see that, this is again how we set boundaries now. The moment we notice that, even after conversations and after talking to you and after making it clear that, look, a problem with one is a problem with both, right? And we've told you, don't do that anymore. Don't talk negative. Don't say things that we're not welcoming in our home, especially if we haven't given you an opportunity to do that. If we haven't given you a reason to do that, right? But you still are saying, I'm gonna. What we do is we give you distance.
Yeah.
We set boundaries by distancing ourselves from you.
Yep.
All of a sudden, we don't call you anymore.
Nope.
All of a sudden, we don't invite you to our home anymore. All of a sudden, we don't text you anymore because with you comes a baggage of negativity
that
we don't
need.
want around us.
Nope.
And so in the most godly way possible, we keep you at a distance.
Yeah.
We love you from a distance because you're bad for business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so that is how we set boundaries. And of course, we pray for people. You know, we pray for them. I remember a time where, and if it's family members, right? If it's, parents and things like that, you laugh about it. You have a conversation with your spouse about it. As long as this is good, no other opinion should matter.
Yeah.
For example, we don't have this issue, thank God. But let's say, for example, you have a mom or a dad, who, for whatever reason, just always have a problem with your partner. Say your mom, is usually the moms, right? Your mom come to your home. They are here to visit for a month or so, and they don't like the way your wife raises her kids. They don't like the way she doesn't bow down to say good morning to you every day. They don't like the way she cooks. They don't like the fact that she's not fast enough in how she does A, B, C, and D. They just don't like her style. And so they bring that up to you. Your mom says, my son, I got to talk to you. Your wife is this. I've been watching her. She's this. I mean, they got a whole list of things that your wife is just not doing right.
Oh, gosh.
What do you do in a situation like that? Mufe, I want to a man, let me tell you something. A real man.
Let's echo that.
Will say to mama and say, thank you, mama, for all your observations. They are duly noted. I will talk to my wife. You take that information, that conversation, you go to your wife and you laugh about it.
Yeah.
It's very important that you laugh about it. So this way your wife understands where you stand.
Yeah.
Don't just say, well, mama said A, B, C, and D, don't listen to her, we move on with our life. No. Gist about it. Make it a joke. The reason being is you need to defend your union. You need to let your wife understand where you stand.
Yeah, it's a together thing.
It's a together thing. And you have to understand that everything mama said about your wife is actually about you.
Yeah.
And this is more reason why you want to laugh about it, because what do you look like now? Pointing fingers at your wife and say, oh, I never thought about this, but my mom brought it up the other day and she said, you're this, you're that. And you know what? She's not lying. Why don't you do A, B, C, and D? No. The wife will say, well, go marry your mama then. Go marry your go marry your mom then. Yeah. No, but honestly, I would really recommend to you, go to your wife and just say, man, you're not going to believe the conversation I just had with my mom. She said you do A, B, C, and D. You're not going to believe it. Hey, the wife, hey, really, wow. The wife will say, okay, if mama feels that way, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. Well, if you can, sure. Me, personally, I don't have a problem with it. She's the one who brought it up. And you know what? Whatever you want to do, we'll talk to her. Matter of fact, we can even go have a conversation with her together.
I'm letting you know.
And say, mama, look, this conversation, you thought it was between me and you. No. It's actually between all three of us.
Absolutely.
And I'm not just your son. She's also your daughter. If you have a problem, you can literally pull her to the side and talk to her as you would your daughter.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of mistake most grandmothers make.
Yeah.
They will talk to their son's wife like she's this stranger and nobody girl and but then if it was their own daughter who was doing the exact same thing, they would say, but I raised you better than this. Why are you doing this? They would talk to her like she's a queen, like she's a princess. They wouldn't be harsh and bashful towards her. And it's like, okay, why can't you do the same with my wife? You follow what I'm saying? So as the man, though, you have a responsibility to set the tone of the home.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, mama, understand this. I love your opinion and everything like that. My wife is the queen of this home, though. That's number one. And so whatever you want to talk about, run it through her.
Yeah.
It's good that you want to have a conversation with me, but you know what? Next time, why don't all three of us have this conversation? And I'll let you guys ash it out however way you see fit.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if it's the other way around, your mom is the one who has a problem with the husband, and she's got something to say. The wife will tell her, Mama, this is my husband's house. This is my husband's what? House. Mm-hmm. You had your husband and y'all did your thing the way y'all wanted to do it. We're here now, and this is my home. This is my husband's house, and this is who my husband is. We accept him the way he is, and we'll be happy and we'll move on. Because guess what? You're here for a week. 2 weeks, a month max.
Don't mess everything
after you're gone.
Please. You are still going to your own.
Exactly. You see, because
they don't be thinking about that. All these people, they don't think about that. Like, you're still gonna leave. I'm gonna be here to deal with the repercussions.
And so be careful how you take these opinions before you turn it into your own situation when it never was a situation, right? But again, I really hope you hear underneath everything I just said the wisdom and the grace
of how
that is needed to handle the situation in a way that it doesn't have to turn into a whole outburst and everybody's mad at each other.
I think, and I just thank God too, because God is really has helped us thus far, and I thank God too because we don't have the situation in our marriage for us to. We don't deal with things like this, but we understand it.
It's real.
The reason why we understand it is because we've created an atmosphere to make sure that this doesn't happen. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if there's anything my mom or your mom has an issue with, they have no problem calling each other, calling me. His mom has a problem calling me, like, listen, whatever you did the other day, I didn't like it. Or my mom don't like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Because we've created the atmosphere to understand that this is together.
And there's no
dividing us.
Exactly. And they also understand that just because I did it one way does not mean they're gonna do it that way.
Exactly.
And I think that is where a lot of our parents kind of miss it sometimes. They want you to follow their templates to the T.
Exactly.
But we're lucky in that we have parents who understand that they may not necessarily do it the way we did it.
We did it, exactly.
And that's fine.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And it's just a matter of just respecting the fact that
the boundaries.
And it starts with you. Honestly, you're the couple is the one that creates that atmosphere. And for us, it was important for that atmosphere was created from the beginning, because the understanding is there that, listen, as far as I'm concerned, she has gone to her husband's house. Whatever her husband says is final. There's no tug of war of who has control. My dad always said it too. Like, listen, I don't got nothing to do with it. Go ask our husband, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with your side of things too. Like, your mom understands, like, listen, I'm your daughter too. I'm her daughter too, so she could come to me. But having that atmosphere that we've created amongst ourselves has made it clear to everybody. So they know where we stand, and they know it's not because a lot of times it's like divide and conquer. People are trying to do. They try to divide because if they don't like something a certain way, they want you to agree with them, and agreeing with them will mean dividing you guys. So a lot of times that's the way they go about things. But once they realize they can't penetrate this, they have no choice but to adjust and kind of work the way we've said it. So it's a matter of really just creating that boundary and setting it from the beginning. It really starts with you guys, how you guys treat each other. If you guys treat each other like nonsense, you need that side of the family. They will follow suit. You understand what I'm saying?
You gotta have a united front.
Yeah.
You've got to have a united front. And that is what most people see that lets them know, okay, this is a no-go area.
Exactly.
Because they are united. If she says it, that's him saying it. If he said it, that's her saying it. We are together in everything we do. We are united, and we make that very clear outside and inside. Now, to close us out, I'm gonna ask you this last question on the topic of united, right?
Okay.
Can you remember a time where we had to stand united, right? Where we had to stand united as a couple, right? A time where we had to stand united as a couple.
I I would say the most recent time.
Give us a stand your ground.
Stand your ground. I'll say the most recent time, really, and it wasn't necessarily like it could, you could interpret it as that, but I'll say the most recent time was when my dad passed.
Okay.
When he passed, there was a lot of moving parts that came.
Oh yeah, place. Logistics. Yeah,
there was a lot was going on because he's from Nigeria. He's in politics, so there's so many things that's happening, and now it became a thing of how do we go about making sure my mom is good while also making sure that nothing falls short anywhere. And we started having conversation as a family, as a big family. Started having extended everybody, like started having conversations of how do we go about, okay, so who's gonna go to Nigeria with mom, who's gonna stay in this place. And for us, we had to we had the conversation, and it's interesting too, because I feel like our conversation was very silent. Because it's not like we knew ahead of time that was going to be the case, but it was a matter of, okay, he was like, let's do it this way. What do you think? In that moment, what do you think? Can we do this way? And I was like, all right, if you think this is, what I'm saying? And we decided that, okay, for the prior to the burial, because it was going to take us about 2 months to actually plan the burial. Prior to the burial, 2 months before, we'll go to Nigeria with mom and stay there with her for 2 whole months. Now, the reason why this was something that was a big deal for us, that is because we were going together with 2 other kids, right? We didn't have Duni then. So it was all 4 of us as a family going to Nigeria for 2 months. Mind you, we work full time here in America. We have businesses that we're running here. We have a ministry that we're running here in America. And we had to figure out the logistics of how we did that. But to me, I count that as standing as a united front, because a lot of things could have transpired differently in that moment. Tension was high. People were emotional. We were emotional. A big thing just happened in our family. And it could have been a fight of you could have just said, I'm not going to Nigeria for 2 months. What am I going there to do? I got so many things to do out here. And I'm like, but I have to go with mommy. I have to stay with my mom, But it wasn't a thing. It wasn't even, it was almost like a no-brainer for us. We just kind of came together and was like, you know what? This is what we're doing. And to some people, it might have looked like we were crazy, because how do you take your whole family to Nigeria for 2 months and just sit there, like unplanned, like literally last minute plan? And for us, it was a matter of, and everything we did, and we weren't just sitting in Nigeria, we were planning the whole burial. They were building the house, the mausoleum that he was going to stay in. We were planning the whole burial was a whole week. So there was a lot of logistics that was going on in Nigeria, a lot of moving parts, a lot of interference, a lot of this opinion and that opinion. And we had to be there to navigate it, standing on behalf of the immediate family. So we literally had to stand united in everything. We had to sit and be like, this is what it is together. And I felt like, to me, that was such an important time. And for me, as far as you were concerned, I really, really, really do appreciate that. And for me, that put me even in a different level when it comes to you. I mean, I listen, I loved you even more, because I just felt like the sacrifice you were making at that time, not a lot of people will make that sacrifice. And I really appreciated that, because it really just, it just made things easier for me in that moment. And I felt like that was a time where we stood, and there was nothing anybody was telling us. Once we came together and made a decision, everybody's opinion is just noise at that point in time.
Because again, there are moments where that unity will be tested.
Yes.
Or not necessarily tested, but it would be demanded, where you have to show it than tell it, because a lot of times we're united, we're together and everything like that, until there's something that really demands that you have to be united.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember our spiritual fathers and mothers, they are a part of a bigger family, and the family is intertwined in the ministry, and there's no separating that, right? But the founder of the ministry, the founder of the ministry had passed away a long time ago, and that meant that some factions of the ministry was breaking apart and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my spiritual father is married to one of the daughters of the founder of the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
She had a choice to make.
Yep.
Go with how God was leading the husband,
Yep.
or go with the flow of
her family,
what
siblings,
families are supposed to do with her siblings, her brothers, and things like that.
Yeah.
And again, an opportunity to show and to stand on a united front was presented to them.
Yeah.
And she took it and said, look, maybe if I hadn't married this guy,
exactly,
maybe I could have done A, B, C, and D.
Maybe I could have done this, right?
This situation is where we test for better, for worse.
Yeah.
In good health,
in
you know what I'm saying?
In everything.
In everything.
In good and bad.
This is where we test the covenants. This is where it gets very thick.
Yeah.
And you have a choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to stand united with your partner?
Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to be like, well, I was cool with you until this.
Yeah.
Amen. Because
this one, I don't know.
Yeah. You know, because again, we try to say we are one way, but we don't really know until something really hits the fan. Absolutely. And you really got to show that way, not just say it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when that happened, that was an opportunity for us to say, okay, are we united for real?
Yeah.
Or do we just talk about it?
Yeah.
You know, not only did we need to be there for mama and for her and make sure she was good, but I needed you to understand that I was with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you were in a state too.
Yeah, exactly.
And more than being there for mommy, which is good, I needed to be there for you too.
Right, exactly.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I knew that going to where you were going, it was going to be a lot thrown at you.
Oh, yeah.
And so you need somebody, you need coverage.
Yeah.
You need coverage, and who best to be your coverage than your husband?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, everything else is figure outable.
Yeah.
Apart from that, if it was my father who passed away, we would do the same thing.
Yeah.
The man was like a father to me.
Yeah.
So his passing was like my father passing as well.
Yeah.
And so I did what I would do if he was my father.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about, standing united on a united front as a couple.
So many other situations.
So many. But today we really just wanted to talk about how to deal with outside opinions, how to deal with friends, family, marriages, family, and set boundaries in your marriage.
And I kind of wanted to just add to, if you hear the undertone, or really what we're trying to say is, before we get to the point of having to deal with those things, there's a lot of work that has been done internally when it comes to our marriage to get to the point where we can stand united. There's a lot of things that had to be done, and it didn't just happen in a day. It was years of building this, from dating phase, from our relationship phase to getting married. And you have to make sure that work is done to the point where you guys know, okay, we can stand, like I say this confidently, to the glory of God. There's so many things when it comes to our marriage that I don't have to worry about, that I don't have to be scared or concerned about. It's like, oh, shock for me, I know to the glory of God. You understand what I'm saying? By the Holy Spirit, I know, wait, this is the situation. But it didn't just happen overnight. It took intentionality. It took building on a rock solid foundation. It took cultivating a culture of respect, of honor. It took investing intentionally and consistently in our relationship, in our marriage. It took defending our union on multiple occasions,
over again,
from the dating phase to now. It took empowering each other towards purpose fulfillment. It took pushing each other to be better for each other. So these things we're not just saying them to say it to you, just like pointers. We're throwing it at you. This is something that has been done, has been tested, and we're still practicing it even today.
Yeah. You know, what we've said when it comes to dealing with outside opinions, there are some of them that you would deal with grace. Mm-hmm. Some of them will require wisdom. Mm-hmm. Some of them are complete dismissal.
Yes. There's different stages.
Dismissal,
different
completely.
levels.
And some of them, the only way to deal with it is to distance yourself.
Absolutely.
And we've talked about how some of them as well, you have to carry yourself in a certain way so you don't attract certain things.
Yeah.
You know, there's a saying in where we're from, poo attracts flies.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You want to ensure that flies don't come to that spot.
Clean it up.
Clean the pool. Clean it up well.
Clean it up.
And you see the flies will go away.
Yeah.
What that means is if you have anything to clean up in your environment, in your home,
in
your relationship, in your marriage, clean it up.
Clean it up.
And you will see the flies find their square roots. They will.
What a serious analogy. What an interesting analogy. It's real though. I get it.
Yeah. And they would just naturally, automatically fly away, right? So don't also, part of dealing with that is not having poo laying around in your home and in your relationship.
It gets messy.
Makes sense. It gets messy.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
It gets messy. It gets dusty. Clean it up.
Yeah. This way, even if they wanted to come over, the flies, they can't because there's nowhere to lay.
They won't find anything.
Amen. I hope that analogy didn't confuse you. I hope you kind of got it, right? Because
it was a little messy, but you
know. but there's a saying, there's a way to say it that I just gave you the literal translation.
The proverb?
No. What do you call it? It's not. Is it translation? The
interpretation.
To get to it, the interpretation of the thing. I just explained the meaning of that proverb so that you can understand what it's trying to say. But that's the heart of it, right? When you clean it up, flies go away pretty much, right? And so some situations you got to clean up. Some situation you distance yourself. Some situation you dismiss them completely, like you can't even talk to me. Okay, so just stay over there, right? Some situation, grace. They're gonna talk. They're gonna say what they're gonna say, but because of who they are, you afford them a level of grace and say, okay, it is well, right? And then some situation is wisdom. You can't ignore them. You have to give a response, but you give a wise response. A response. And the heart of all of that, whether wisdom, grace, dismissal, distance, cleaning it up or whatever, the heart of all of that is doing all you can to defend the union. Because guess what? All these things they're gonna be thrown at you. But if you have your shield up, though, you're not gonna feel it.
Nope.
It's not gonna come through.
Nope.
Defend the union at all costs. Defend yourself, defend your spouse, defend your home, defend your marriage, defend your family, defend the union at all costs. All right? Anything else?
I mean, I was just thinking about something, but we can move on from
it. What were you thinking about?
No, I was just thinking about how so many situations where some people try to use me against you.
You
know, like they think like, because I'm quiet, I'm the one that's like the one to try to. They made big mistakes.
They thought you was the Eve in this thing. They think you could come through the wife and get to the. No, sir.
They didn't realize I was the one like.
Hey, first line of defense. By you.
I was one like that.
Well, I hope we've shared a tip or two to help solidify your kingdom union, not only with yourself, but also with others, and most importantly, with God on today.
Yes, don't forget to like, share with your friends, share with your family. Comment down below. Let us know how you defend your marriage, how you protect your marriage. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
And until next time, be the light.
Be the salt.
And remember, all things are possible if you believe. Comment down below. Defend the union. If you are one who is a defender of your own union,
come on now.
Write it down in there.
Let me go write it down right now.
Defend the union.
Defend the union.
Last week was Mother's Day. We forgot to mention it at last week's message. So we want to use this opportunity to say happy belated Mother's Day. It's never too late, but happy belated Mother's Day.
We celebrate you every single day. You're amazing mothers.
We call you blessed because you are blessed. Indeed, you are. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next one. On the next one. Goodbye.
On the next one.
We love you with the love of God.
And the next one.